Good afternoon. All right, so gonna dive into the workflow for how I get from idea into a podcast. So what we're looking at here is the Google Gemini mobile app. I'm recording this straight from the iPhone. Here's what happened. Got myself a nice little personal loan offer call earlier today, and man, oh man, I was just sick and tired of it. This was the camel's back breaker right here. I was standing outside, just relaxing at the end of the workday and just soaking in the weather, and got this call, and I noticed my little voicemail icon pop up there at the top of the screen. And yeah, well, I was tired of it. I have T-Mobile, and I already have the scam shield enabled, and damned if these scammers just break through every single time. So I came out here, before you go through it. I mean, as I'm talking through, you can certainly read through what's going on here. But here's what happened. I answered the call, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" Of course, it was a robo caller that was trying to do the dial out. And when I came on the line, I kept saying, "Agent, agent." I want to talk to an agent, and pressing zero and whatnot. And hey, dang, I got a live human. It was great. It was a dude. Didn't say what his name was, and he just mumbled real fast and couldn't even understand that. And then before I knew it, I started asking a couple questions and kind of making it sound like I was leading it on. I just wanted to waste their time. Uh, they hung up on me. Oh, all right. So it's on. Game on, game on. Call them back. Same number, this 980-512-3665. And as you can see, when I do a reverse number lookup on it, it's probably a fake number, virtual number, whatever. I call them back, and I press one, and I get connected to Linda this time. And she seems kind of nice, talking through, and couldn't understand the financial institution that she's calling from. And so I asked a few questions, and wouldn't you know it, Linda hung up on me. And so, game's still on. We're not done yet. Call them back. Got a third person this time, and continue to waste their time for as long as I can. And then I got hung up on again. Can you believe that? So I took a couple screenshots. I came over here to Gemini, and you know what? Let's put some action in place here. So I tell Gemini, I'm getting tired of all these fake phone calls and voicemails and personal loan offers. I did finally hear the supposed financial private lending corporation. They definitely were not FDIC insured. It was a personal loan offer. They told me that this company was Fresh Start Union. Okay, yeah, because that sounds legit. And as you can see, and I basically gave Gemini a very, very extensive list of things to do. And you can see down here at the bottom that I have research mode enabled. And so I execute. And so it comes back and tells me, here's my plan to tackle that topic, and then let me know what needs to change. So as you can see, it's going to go through the list, and I can't edit the plan now because I already ran the research on it. But you can see it does a deep dive investigation into Fresh Start Union. All right. It searches for consumer reviews, scam reports, Better Business Bureau ratings. All right. We go through and identify the federal reporting channels, the FTC, the FCC. Wanted to find a procedure for filing a formal complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Locate the steps to report a telephone harassment and potential scam operations to the Texas Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. Research T-Mobile's specific protocols for reporting spam that bypass Scam Shield, including the short codes or the manual reporting mechanisms. And finally, summarize the findings on Fresh Start Union. Compile a comprehensive list of reporting actions and links to the law enforcement and regulatory agencies. All right. So Gemini went out, did the research. Here we are 10 minutes later. And I thought this was a great documentation effort here. So you can see some of exactly what's going on. And this is, some real live, real world example of some of the modern AI chat tools, LLMs, large language models in action of what it can actually do. So here's the research that is completed, and I'm just going to open this bad boy up and we can see it live. And it produced for us this operational analysis of the Fresh Start Union telecommunications fraud ring. It's a forensic deconstruction, technical evasion tactics, and multi-jurisdictional enforcement strategies. All right, this sounds pretty fun. As you can see, this is a quite extensive document. There you go, right there, highlighting this right here that they are using a VoIP obfuscation technology to perpetrate an advance fee loan scam and an identity harvesting operation. Now that is a little bit of a concern for me because I did answer the call. So they do have my phone number and they know that it's a real phone number. And we're going to see what I need to do to protect myself. So as it goes on, the user's experience, me, characterized by incessant robocalls, that is absolutely true. Ringless voicemails, also absolutely true. And aggressive hangups when the callers are challenged, also true. Is consistent with the operational profile of a boiler room fraud ring. Dun, dun, dun. All right, these operators are trained to filter potential victims rapidly. The fact that they disconnected the calls when the user engaged or questioned them, that's exactly what I did, indicates a rigid adherence to qualification script. And if the target does not immediately acquiesce to the request for sensitive data such as their social security number, or they exhibit any kind of skepticism, which I laid on a healthy amount of skepticism, the operator terminates the connection to preserve their bandwidth for more susceptible targets. And of course, I wanted to waste as much time of theirs as humanly possible, so I kept calling back and calling back and calling back. Funny enough, after I got hung up on for the last time, suddenly, surprisingly, that phone number was no longer answering. It would do the fast, busy beep, 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 as if the phone number is disconnected. Weird, huh? So, this report serves as a comprehensive forensic dossier on Fresh Start Union. It's designed to empower the complainant with the specific intelligence required to file actionable reports with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, which, rest assured, I will be doing. Furthermore, it deconstructs the technical failure modes of carrier-grade protection systems, specifically T-Mobile's Scam Shield, explaining why these calls bypass standard filters and offering robust mitigation strategies to restore the user's privacy. Now, I'm not going to bore this. I'm not going to go into a deep dive here and explain, but I'll just quickly scan through this document just so you can see how in depth and how comprehensive said research and deep dive really was. All right, and you can see like we're literally only a quarter of the way through, and we just keep going and keep going and keep going. Okay, so as you can see, these claimed loan amounts, these pretty much match up exactly with what I'm seeing on my voicemail transcripts. All right, so it's clearly a scam, right? The ghost infrastructure, the location and licensing, a critical component of the deep dive requested by me is determining who this company actually is. And the investigation confirms that Fresh Start Union exists only as a telephonic phantom. Isn't that sad? So here's what's going on, all right? Um, When I have been taking these deep dives and then turning them into podcast episodes on the Kronos archive on your favorite platform, podcast listening platform, including iTunes, podcast, and Spotify, as well as many others because of the RSS feeds to all of the available ones. You can find this on there later. So I'm going to publish this video that you're watching now to YouTube. We'll see. You're going to see this is live in action. The workflow that I use to produce that podcast. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that difficult. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the audio overview, and it's going to go to town. It's going to start creating that audio overview, and it literally sounds like a podcast. It's a male and a female going back and forth, having a conversation about the particular researched topics. Now, I did share one of the recent podcasts and some of the behind the scenes information with a trusted audio engineering and music producing friend. Shout out to Randy Rash. What's up? And had some good suggestions and some feedback from him in order to enhance and improve the podcast sound of it. Um, Interestingly enough, we will see. I will let this generate this overview, and what I'm going to then do is we're going to try to add a couple of those extra parameters. You'll notice that I didn't actually have to type in the text right there for generate the audio overview. All I simply did was I clicked the button when I opened the research. And so what I'm going to do is we'll compare the quality. Hopefully, I can actually play the audio and it'll actually be recorded. But if it's not, you'll obviously be able to see and hear the podcast itself here in a few moments when we actually get this thing published and go through the entire workflow. I'm going to keep you here the whole time. So far, around for those of you who are still following along. Appreciate you coming in and checking out the Ken Hin Chan, Kenneth Hensler here on the YouTubes. Do a little bit of everything here on this YouTube channel of mine. I've been around since long dang time. Was one of the early YouTubers as just a simple YouTube user back in the early 2000s, and really didn't start publishing and uploading my own content till somewhere around, I believe it was like 2011, 2012. And early on I really didn't have an idea of what I would be doing on this channel, and kind of really just more than anything just use it as a way to be able to share some of my own personal videos, and like vlog style, blog style videos, and some fun pet videos. Early on I had a couple of early videos of my young daughter. She would have been, let's see, that would have been probably in around, oh shoot, that was actually about 2009, 2010 that I did a couple of those early uploads. And yeah, it was kind of fun. I did have a couple of tech videos. I had one of my more popular YouTube videos that I've ever uploaded, and still continues to get updates to this day, or views and interactions. Is I had a video about how to change the keyboard on a Dell laptop, and kind of went through I mean, I recorded this thing literally with a cell phone, and I was at the office and thought it would be kind of interesting to document it and post it up to YouTube. Really wasn't expecting much from it, but even here, 2026, still getting people viewing that video. So anyway, as you can see, the audio overview is still generating a couple minutes, and I'll tell you. I mean, typically what I do once I click on the generate audio overview, perfect. There you go. It just now created it. 2.5 minutes it took to create that. But what I was going to say is, typically when I tell it to both up here to do the research, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to perform the deep dive research. And once it gets started on the research, you don't have to stay in the app while it's doing the research. And the same thing as well, when I tell it to generate the audio overview, I don't have to stay in the app while it's doing this. And I can, typical what I do is, I execute the command, I tell it to do the thing, and then I go off and I do something else. And then I would get I'd get a notification, which it does, it's hidden. Plus I've got, privacy mode enabled here. So so you really can't see the detail, and I have a bunch of other notifications that I don't really want to share. But yeah, typically I'd get a notification on the phone saying that research is complete, and I go to it, and it opens right back up to this conversation. Or in this case, the audio overview is done. So here's the audio overview. I'm going to try to click play and see if it plays through. Hopefully it records the sound. At the very least, we're going to go ahead and download this audio overview. I've got a nice little folder here where I save all these audio overview files, Fresh Start Union Robocall. So we'll just go ahead and save that. That saves it as an MP3 audio file. Let's see what happens if we play it and see if you hear the audio. You can't hear the audio because I'm recording. I'm doing a screen recording. So it does look like they've got some, what do you call it? The DRM. It's like a rights management feature. So, it's not going to let me record playing the audio. So no problem. We will certainly, I'll share the details here, in the actual, in the description of this YouTube video that I'm going to upload. I will send you a link. I will leave a link to the podcast on both Spotify podcast as well as the iTunes podcast. And if you use a different audio service for listening to your podcast, you ought to be able to search for the title of it. So next step in my workflow, I am going to make this a little bit more streamlined going forward with the use of what Gemini calls a gem. Okay. Right now, I have only one gem that I've created called my playlistinator. And I'll have to go into the web view and do this from the web. So I'll do that video demo here in just a moment of how I create the gem. The gem is essentially, it's essentially a set of steps that I want it to do. It's so I don't have to keep telling to run the same prompt over and over again, right? So what it will do for now, I'm just going to manually run these commands, and then you can see how it spits out the content. And then here in a bit, I'll link to this video in this video's description. And then the other thing is, we're also recording this in portrait mode right now. Prefer this to be in landscape mode, but the thing is, the app itself is in portrait mode. So it is what it is. And I certainly don't want this to be uploaded as a YouTube short, but and it's, of course, it's not a ado. Next up in my process, I'm going to try to do a shortcut, and let's see exactly what the results are. And I may have to tweak this again. So I'm going to tell Gemini to run our usual podcast creation, if I can spell it, creation routine. And actually, let's just see what it does there. Okay. Run our usual podcast creation routine. Let's see what it comes up with. I expect it to generate me a title for the podcast episode, a description of the podcast that I then, of course, add to Spotify and the iTunes. And then I also would expect it to give me a prompt that I then give back to Gemini in the Nano Banana image generator to create my my cover image for this particular episode. So I have a feeling that Gemini is aware that we are recording him, so he's being a little slower than usual. Surprise, surprise. But let's give it a second here. Let's see what it spits out. I'm hoping that, you know, because I've ran this routine, if you will, multiple times, and so I'm hoping that I don't have to spell it out for him. But there we go. Okay. So that's fine. So let me copy that. All right, and then let's try this again. If I take off, okay, yeah. See, if I take off deep research, it's going to want to start a new chat. So let's do this. So run our usual podcast creation routine, um, and let's just be clear. So I want it to generate our podcast episode title based on our researched topic above. We want to generate an episode description. All right. And write an ultra detailed prompt to be used to generate our podcast episode cover image. Podcast episode square cover image. All right. Let's see if that extra bit of detail is enough to spark Gemini to the right direction. This is certainly going to be quite the long form video uploaded. Those of you that are interested in AI and technology as a whole, certainly hope that this video found your feed, and would definitely love to hear a bit more about how you found this video in the comment below. And while you're at it, what would you say your favorite AI chat utility is these days? Kind of how you do it. Personally speaking, I'm a great big fan of the Google Gemini app. On a personal basis, I do, even though I have an iPhone, I'm still deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem, Gmail and Google Docs and whatnot. So on a personal basis, I'm a big fan of Gemini, and I'll show you a description here. Like when I go to the My Stuff, as an example, some of the really great content this thing is capable of making. Incredible. Like the level of detail on infographics that I tell it to make, or podcast episode titles. So this is and here's the last podcast episode creation, my playlist, my playlist cover image creations, and all kinds of cool stuff. So anyway, so that's that. So when I told it to do the routine, back to so here's what's going on. We're in the middle of creating a podcast episode based on the deep dive, right? So what I told it to do is create that episode title, the description, and then write the prompt. All right. So based on the investigative report and the specific details from your uploaded images, specifically the relentless nature of calls, 21 blocked in 30 days, and the technical masking used by carriers like HD Carrier LLC. Here is the creative package for your podcast episode. So my podcast episode title, and again, literally, you'll be able to find this on iTunes and Spotify podcast, as well as your favorite podcast listening platform, look up the title Phantom on the Line: Unmasking the Fresh Start Union and the Failure of Scam Shield. Love it. It's a pretty good hooky title line. It generated our episode description. In this episode, we tear down the Fresh Start Union, a sophisticated telemarketing fraud ring targeting Texas residents with fake $49,000 and $67,000 loan offers. We analyze the Vanessa Rojas and Fred Roberts personas and explain why your phone is still ringing despite T-Mobile's Scam Shield blocking 21 calls in the last month. We'll dissect the forensic evidence, including the HD Carrier LLC connection, to show how these scammers use snowshoe spamming and neighbor spoofing to bypass carrier-grade filters. Finally, we walk you through the nuclear option for stopping the harassment and the exact steps to file actionable reports with the FTC and the Texas Attorney General to shut them down. All right, that's great. Now, here is our ultra detailed square cover image prompt. So I literally copy. Oh, it's a couple different paragraphs here. So in this case, I can't easily copy the whole thing. So I'm just going to copy this entire text block right here. I specifically want to go into the Nano Banana image creation. So I'm actually just going to start a new chat. We're going to open up the create images, and then I'm going to fill in the blanks here. All right, so we're going to delete. All right, and so here is our prompt. All right, and let's just delete all of that, and then I will leave. Whoops, I'll leave that right there. And yeah, go to the pro mode. I want you to do a really good job. Create it, bruh. Here is how fast Nano Banana Pro generates images. Of course, we've got Nano Banana being live and inspected right here on the call, but boom, there you go. There's Fresh Start. All right. You will find this on your favorite podcast episode. We're going to save that bad boy. Okay. Now, I have not even listened to that audio file yet, and of course, we already showed you earlier. We tried to listen to it because of DRM, privacy, digital protection. It wasn't going to let me play the audio file while I'm doing a video recording. So here's what we do next. Yeah, I'm going to get out of the Gemini app, and we're going to jump over to the podcast, the Spotify Creator app. Never mind the home screen that you see here. We're going to jump over here. We're going to jump into the Creators app. All right, and here's what we're going to do. We are going to click on the plus button. We're going to upload an episode, and we're going to select our file. And it already takes us to our audio overviews. We're going to grab this MP3 file. All right. We are well on our way. So while it's processing that, now we're going to grab all of our other content that we have amassed. There is our specific one. Okay, so that was about a 5-minute episode. All right, we're doing good. Let's switch back over here to Gemini. Let's go back into this one. Let's copy. Whoop, get back here. Boom. All right, there is our episode title. I think I copied an extra quote. Let's trim that up right there. All right. So there's our podcast episode title. All right, and then let's go back and let's see if I can copy the description. It looks like it's in 2 paragraphs, so I probably won't be able to. Oh, it let me do it. All right, perfect. There's that, and I probably will need to take the probably need to take the numbers out. Those those referred to the research document. So in this episode, we tear down the Fresh Start unit, a sophisticated telemarketing ring targeting Texas. Okay, yeah. So right here, just take that out. We analyze Vanessa Rojas. Okay. Let's delete that one. All right, and that. Let me just add an enter there. All right. Image one. Yep. And let's delete that. And then finally, okay, actually, let's do a new, the nuclear option. Yeah, I am going to go nuclear on this company, and I'm going to demonstrate that on my, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to YouTube here in just a moment after we kick off this publish. And we are going to just do a live stream, and then I'll record it. So this is season 2026, and I am creating my episode numbers based on the 2-digit month and 2-digit date. So today is Feb 10. All right. And there is that. I am going to allow for commenters. That is truth. And let us go back. I wonder if I need to put the title. I think I was prefixing the title. We may come back in and change that. So you know what? I am going to let it rip. Let me just publish this bad boy. Okay. So, I mean, technical deep dive. Tell me in the comments what in the world made you want to keep watching the video this long, and tell me again what. Tell me if you subscribed or not. That'd be cool. Because as you can see, I don't even have monetization turned on yet. So this is all just a labor of love, if you will. So yeah, it does look like I was prefixing my podcast titles. I was prefixing them with my season. So I'm going to say this is S 2026, and this is dot episode 0210. All right, and there's that, and let's done that, and let's save that. Okay. Boom. That is that. So this dude is live on the Spotify's, and let's see if it's there and visible yet. If this thing is live and published on Spotify, which it does take a little bit of time. Once the thing is live on Spotify here, then I will make sure I save this video. I'm going to immediately publish this bad boy up to my @KinHinChan YouTube channel. And in fact, I'm just, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It does look like it is going to take a bit more time for this podcast episode to become totally live and available. I'm trying to refresh and force it to happen, and it's this is live. This is exactly how long it really takes to create that. But anyway, you'll see